Pierce Brosnan's life began in a small Irish town, Drogheda, County Lois, on May 16, 1953. From the very start, his story was one of absence and displacement. His father, Thomas Brosnan, left before Pierce was even old enough to form a memory of him. There was no goodbye, no explanation, only an empty space where a father should have been. His mother, Mae Smith, was young, ambitious, and unprepared for the responsibility of raising a child. She left to pursue a nursing career in London, leaving Pierce to be raised by his maternal grandparents in Navan, County Meath. While his grandparents were kind, Pierce was still left to wonder why his mother wasn't there when he needed her most, a question that lingered in his heart like a silent wound, the shifting sense of home. As a young boy, Pierce was passed from one household to the next, never finding a permanent home. After his grandparents passed away, he moved in with an aunt and later a family friend. Despite being cared for, he always felt like someone else's responsibility. He was not abused, but he was never truly settled. This transient lifestyle shaped his sense of belonging and identity. At school, Pierce was the boy without a father, without a mother at home, and without the safety of a stable family unit. He became a quiet observer, retreating into the world of art as a form of escape. He drew and painted not out of passion, but out of a need to survive emotionally, finding comfort in creativity when there was little else to hold on to. The return of his mother. At the age of 10, Pierce's mother re-entered his life. After establishing her career in London, May sent for him, and he moved to the city to live with her. Although they shared the same blood, they were strangers in many ways. Pierce described those years as the time he felt most like an outsider. For a boy who had been shuttled between homes and uprooted so many times, the feeling of being always the outsider was a painful reality. Yet it was also during this period that Pierce began to see that there was more to life than what he had known. He just had to find it. The city of London, although foreign, offered possibilities that Pierce had never imagined before. The power of Possibility London, in the late 1960s, was a fast-moving, bustling city, far removed from the quiet streets of Navan where Pierce had grown up. At 16, he enrolled in the Elliott School in South London, but he was academically behind and socially invisible. Still, London gave him something that Navan could not offer: possibility. At 17, Pierce took a part-time job with a small traveling circus, learning to breathe fire and perform in front of crowds. The danger of it all, combined with the thrill of attention, was transformative. For the first time in his life, he felt seen. It was an experience that sparked something in him, a desire to be more than just another unnoticed teenager. He began to realize that commanding an audience was not just thrilling, but it gave him a sense of belonging that he had never experienced before. Discovering acting from fire eater to performer, Pierce's newfound confidence in performing led him to pursue acting. At 18, he joined the Drama Centre London, one of the most prestigious and demanding acting schools in the UK. With no formal training and no connections, Pierce had little to offer beyond raw potential, but it was this rawness that his instructors saw in him. The Drama Centre's philosophy wasn't about technique alone. It was about delving deep into one's own personal history, emotions, and unresolved pain to fuel one's craft. For Pierce, this was the perfect fit. His childhood of abandonment, loss, and emotional turbulence provided him with the material necessary for great performance. It was here that Pierce began to harness the pain of his past, using it as a tool for his acting, turning his vulnerabilities into strengths. Love and Loss, Cassandra Harris. In 1977, Pierce met Cassandra Harris, an Australian actress who was married to another man at the time. She was strikingly beautiful, fiercely intelligent, and commanding in every room she entered. Pierce was immediately drawn to her, and their connection grew over time, ultimately leading to marriage in 1980. Pierce adopted Cassandra's 2 children from her previous marriage, embracing the family with open arms. For the first time in his life, Pierce had a sense of stability and home, something he had always craved but never truly had. Cassandra gave him roots, something he had never experienced growing up, but their happiness was short-lived, as in 1987, Cassandra was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and the world they had built together was suddenly overshadowed by this merciless disease. The devastating battle, Cassandra's illness. When Cassandra fell ill, Pierce's life changed dramatically. He stepped back from his rising career to focus on her, becoming a constant and unwavering presence by her side. Pierce drove her to treatments, sat with her through the long hours, and held the family together with a quiet determination that left those around him in awe. He understood better than most what truly mattered in life. He later said that the experience taught him a powerful lesson. You learn very quickly what matters and what doesn't. His own transformation during this time was profound. It wasn't just about taking care of his wife. It was about reshaping his priorities and understanding the value of family and love in ways that would forever define him. The impact of loss. A changed man. Cassandra's battle with cancer ultimately ended in her passing, leaving Pierce with an emotional wound that never fully healed. The experience of losing the woman he loved most reshaped Pierce in ways that were visible to those who knew him. The carefree charm that had made him an international heartthrob was now tempered by a quiet intensity, a calm earned through the storm of personal loss. Pierce never spoke much about the emotional toll of his wife's illness, but those who witnessed it understood that it was a turning point in his life. It wasn't just the loss of Cassandra that changed him. It was the way he chose to live after her death that defined his legacy, balancing grief with resilience. The road to bond, strength born from suffering. Despite the personal challenges he faced, Pierce's career continued to soar. His role as Remington Steele had led to whispers of him being the next James Bond, but this opportunity was initially ripped away from him. At the height of his career, the Bond role was taken from him due to legal issues with the Remington Steele series, a crushing blow that seemed almost ironic. Pierce had fought for years to reclaim the role, but the emotional weight of his losses gave him a different perspective on fame and success. He wasn't just vying for a role, he was fighting for something much deeper, something personal, and in many ways, the Bond role became a symbol of everything he had endured and overcome, becoming Bond, the role that defined his legacy. When Pierce Brosnan finally donned the tuxedo and became James Bond in 1995, it was not just a career milestone, it was the culmination of a journey marked by personal loss, heartbreak, and resilience. The man who had spent his life searching for a home, for belonging, and for peace had finally found it in the most unexpected of places. Playing Bond allowed him to channel the stillness and calm he had earned through years of suffering. The role was not just an escape, it was a reflection of everything he had survived, a man who had learned to carry himself differently because of the weight he had borne. Pierce Brosnan didn't become James Bond despite his struggles. He became Bond because of them.